so excited about this before the. Oh.
What'd you say, John?
Sorry, I was just going to say that I'm very excited to hear about this and hopefully soak up some of this knowledge, like Matrix Neo style. That's it. And now I'm going to be
right. Great. All right, perfect. So I have my agenda. I'll just share my screen, and we can go from there. So yeah, this is really just for my own sake. What I thought I'd do is just kind of give an overview of the feature itself, and then maybe go through some of the common things that I ran into when actually developing on merge trains. If that first part isn't valuable, you can cut me off and let me know. I don't know how familiar you are with merge trains, but sometimes it's a pretty complex feature, so I thought a refresher might be good.
No, that sounds perfect. I know like this much. I know conceptually what a merge train is.
Great, perfect. I was going to try to demo this on my local GDK, but for some reason I can't enable merge trains if there's an error, so I'm just going to do it on GitLab.com, which is fine. So I already have this project here called merge trains test, which I made a while back. And the two things to set up a project for merge trains is adding a line in your GitLab CI YAML. This is kind of the first step. This is a step that almost everyone misses, and I miss it all the time. And I hope in the future we can simplify this because it's a very common gotcha. But in order for merge trains to work, this only merge requests key has to be in the job. And if you don't have this and you enable merge trains, you get this cryptic error in your system notes in your merge request. It says, Nathan Friend removed this merge request from the merge train. And it's kind of confusing because you're like, I didn't do that, but it's an automated message. And it basically, if it can't find a job that is enabled for merge trains, that's merge trains ready, it'll just kick the whole thing off, and it makes it look like you did it. So there's a little bit of some rough edges there that need to be ironed out. But if you see that message, just make sure that you have this only merge requests in at least one job.
So it has to just be in one job in the train. It doesn't have to be in like every job, so that like, for instance, in GitLab, we have like 10,000 jobs, most of which are unit and integration tests. It doesn't need to be in all of them. It just needs to be in one.
It needs to be in every job that you want to run as part of the merge train, I believe. And there's a way to specify, to basically say, always put all of them on the merge trains except for other ones. There's a way to kind of reverse it. And that's usually easier if you have a big, massive file rather than adding that to every single job. So that's step one. Step two is to actually enable merge trains in the settings. So in the project, if you go to settings, general, and down here in the merge requests area, if you expand that, there is an option under merge options called merge pipelines. We'll try to validate the post-merge result prior to merging. And checking this merge pipelines option enables merge trains by default. So that's how you go about enabling it. There's a issue somewhere about making this more clear that you're actually enabling merge trains. It's kind of implicit right now, so that's another thing that could be improved. So I already have enabled here, so I don't need to
Picture of a
change
train
anything.
next to it, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I will go back to the project itself, and I'll just make a change and show you what it looks like when a merge request is on the merge train. So I'll make a quick, I should have this dummy file here that I can make changes to trigger a change. As you can see, the internet is very slow here.
In the wild.
Yep. It's insane how slow it is. It blows my mind. I might just stop my video just since I'm sharing. Okay, so let's make another change to here. And go ahead and commit it and start a new merge request. And just leave everything as is, submit it. So the first thing you'll see here, the merge button says start merge train when pipeline succeeds. If this wasn't enabled, it would say merge when pipeline succeeds. So it's kind of the same concept, but instead of merging, it gets added to the merge train. And so when this job here finishes, this button will change to add to merge train. Or actually, no, it'll say start merge train. There is a distinction. If it's the only item on the merge train, it says start merge train or start merge train when pipeline succeeds. And if there's existing ones already on the merge train, it says add to merge train or add to merge train when pipeline succeeds. So it just kind of helps indicate what the existing merge train looks like. So you saw it just finished, and so now the button switched. And I have a couple options here. I can merge immediately if I wanted to, and basically bypass the merge train. A lot of people were doing this when we enabled it on GitLab.com or on our .com repo because they felt like the merge trains were taking a long time and it was adding a lot of extra time. And that is unfortunate because when one person merges immediately, everyone else that's on the merge train, it cancels all the other pipelines and starts over. So it's a pretty destructive operation. So we have a feature, I don't know if it's been merged yet, that when you click this, it pops up a warning modal says, hey, are you sure you want to do this? This is a potentially bad thing to do. So that's another example of something we've kind of iterated on.
Yeah, it is funny a little bit that it's hidden under that like split drop down and they both look like totally normal things to do. Like it's like, sure,
Yeah.
These are both reasonable, when really
Yep.
It's like, no, you want to start the train and merge immediately is probably not what you want unless things are
exactly.
on fire.
I'm curious. Oh yeah, okay, great. So yeah, this is that dialogue. So we added this, it makes it a little more obvious that it's a nice big red button. Like this is not something you probably want to do. So for now, I'll go and just click on start merge trains. And then what this does is start a new pipeline. And if this pipeline succeeds, it will be merged automatically. And you can see this train here is where we indicate what position this merge request is on the train. So right now we're the only ones, so we're position 1. If we had 5 of them, it would say position 5, etc.
Does it say of how many, or it just tells you which position you're in?
Just tells you which position. I think there's some work eventually to see, like kind of visualize the merge train and see everything that's on it, but we don't really have that at the moment. So this is kind of your only indicator. And
I did
to be
work
honest,
someplace where we, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. To be honest, you don't care too much about what's behind you because in your perspective, all you care about is what's in front of you because that's telling you how far, how long it'll be basically. So the whole value of of merge trains is that when it kind of prevents a lot of those broken masters that we see a lot in our GitLab, our main repo. And it does that by this final pipeline basically ensures that everything is still valid, even if the merge request is super far behind. And it basically does that by merging them all, running all these pipelines in sequence and kind of running them on a merged result. Like it kind of does a pretend merge and then runs the pipeline on that. And if it succeeds, it's assumed that once we merge it in, it's still valid. But what's actually kind of clever is that it doesn't actually run those sequentially. It runs them in parallel. And it basically assumes that it makes the optimistic assumption that most of the pipelines are going to succeed. And so let's say if you are on position 4 of the merge train, what it'll do, it'll make a pretend merge of 1, 2, and 3, and then add your number 4 to it, and then run the pipeline on that one. So if 1, 2, and 3 do end up succeeding, you know that number 4 is good to go. Where that falls down is that if any of those 1, 2, or 3 fails, then you have to rerun your pipeline because it's no longer a valid result. So that's the whole idea, that it's a way to keep your master green.
And so if one does fail, that one is thrown out, but they keep going, right? So if like number 2 failed, 2 would get kicked out, but then 3 would try to be merged in again. Is that what would happen, or does like the rest of the pipeline fall down?
Yes, so 2 would get kicked out and 3 would be available to be merged, but a new merge train pipeline would have to be run because the old merge train pipeline assumed that number 2 succeeded.
Right,
and so now we need to rerun it to validate it's still good. So that's why when you merge immediately, suddenly it throws off the whole train and they all have to be rerun. So it can really slow things down. Any other questions about the feature itself? Or if not, I can dive into the actual code that implements this.
No, that makes the feature make sense. That's a really helpful summary.
Okay, great. So I was trying to think through, let me just check my notes here. Yeah, there's really 2 files that implement the majority of merge trains. And it's ready-to-merge.view and mrWidgetStore.js. And they're both in the view merge request widget in Mr. Widget.
I've done deployment stuff, so I've definitely hung out in this folder for deployment footers. Perfect.
That's great. Yeah, this part of our code base is particularly convoluted. It's been modified by so many people, so it's really a little bit of a mess. And it's just really complex. Like there's so many different scenarios that this thing has to handle. So the first one is ready to merge. And this is a big view component that basically handles the merge button when it's ready to be merged. And the relevant part that deals with merge trains anyway. You can see kind of throughout, you'll notice as you're working with this file, throughout there's this is auto merge available. And this is implemented in a mixin somewhere. It's not actually in this file. But this is essentially checking if the backend says that either merge when pipeline succeeds or merge trains are available. And we kind of refer to this throughout. And that's what that means. Let's check chat real quick.
Oh, it wasn't that important.
Absolutely, yes. Let me think what else. Yeah, there's another. A lot of the stuff, it's one of those things, once you dig in, it makes more sense, but it's hard to describe just really quickly. The piece I've been working on lately is there's a button. This should show merge control. So everything in this chunk of code is basically this. I probably don't have it up anymore. It's basically that drop down we were looking at that had that merge immediately option in there. And so that's been a piece I've been working on lately regarding merge trains. So I'm not sure what else to show in that. I'll switch over to the widget store. The main properties here that are relevant to merge trains are I guess we can just search for train. That's just a documentation path.
I love that variable. I'm not even kidding. I love giant. I'm fine if it makes sense to name it with 10 words. Let's just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love making variables into like a sentence. Might as well. So this is one thing that's probably worth explaining. So the backend sends a property called available auto merge strategies, and it's all of the different ways that the front end can choose to automatically merge the MR that are available to it. So in this case of merge trains, what you'll get back is merge trains, and you'll get add to merge train when pipeline succeeds, and you'll get merge when pipeline succeeds. So it'll send all three of those. It's basically saying the front end can select any of those strategies to merge. From the front end point of view, it's not super valuable because we kind of want to know which one is actually we should actually use, and the back end doesn't tell us that. So this is kind of our way of the front end deciding which one we should use. So basically, if merge train when pipeline succeeds is one of those available options, that's the one we select. If merge train is one of those, that's the one we select. And then lastly, if merge and pipeline succeeds that's what we do. So that's kind of the order of priority that the front end decides how to merge. And then based on this preferred auto merge strategy, that changes what the button says, and et cetera, like that. Trying to think what else.
So I know we had some ups and downs when merge trains were first enabled. And my understanding is we're still like enabling them for some period of time and then disabling them again while we dog food this. Is that the case still?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep. So we were enabling it on our .com repo, and we were doing it for a while. We were doing it at like 2 hours at a time, but that wasn't super valuable because the pipelines themselves take that long, and like sometimes like they wouldn't finish in that window of time. So I think what we're doing now is enabling it for like a full day and then disabling it and then kind of collecting data off that.
That makes sense. And what were the problems that we were running into? That it was slow, so like that stuff that backend is working on, or were there front end issues that I should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, most of it was backend related. We were seeing it being very slow, like way slower than it should have been. That was kind of the main issue that people were running into. I think that's been fixed. I think it's actually performing the way it should now. And then the other issues were mostly user experience related. Like I mentioned, people were merging immediately when we probably shouldn't be. So there's a lot of user experience issues that I think could be worked out. And there's one bug I know that sometimes the merge button shows the wrong text. Like it shows that you can merge it even if you shouldn't be able to. And I think that might be merge trans related. But at the moment, yeah, most of the work is backend. So my role in this over the past several months has mostly just been support, and I'm just kind of being a passive observer. I haven't actually done too much actual work on merge trains because most of it's been backend.
All right, that sounds good. I will do my best to create some front end merge train bugs just so we can, have some glory too.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to mention. Oh, I know there's one other thing. Let's see. I guess there's two other things. I was just going to show you. I spent a lot of time with merge trains looking at one particular network request. So I was going to show you that one. It's called Widget.json, and it's a polling request. It polls every 20 seconds or so, or 30 seconds, not super often. And this is basically this massive JSON object that gives the entire state of this merge request. And this is what drives pretty much everything on this page.
Yeah, I think I've hung out in here before for some of the pipeline stuff and other things.
Perfect. Okay, so you're already kind of familiar.
Yeah, deployments.
Yeah, great. These properties are basically the same as that store I showed you before. So yeah, I just spent a lot of time in this big object. The other thing I was going to show, and you might already know this, but one thing I found valuable is there's a lot of pipelines when you're working with this locally, and it can be kind of a pain to wait for them to succeed. So what I learned to do was to make them succeed through the Rails console. Have you ever done that before?
I have not made the pipeline succeed through the console, so I'm definitely down for a show. I've done some other stuff in there.
Yeah, this is particularly useful with merge trains because a lot of times you don't really care about that first pipeline that runs. You care about the merge pipeline, the second one. So really what you want to do is just push the first one through and just force it to succeed. So it looks like I have one here that is pending, and it will be forever because I don't have any runners set up. So
yeah, well, that's the other nice part. You just don't have to set up the runner to get it to go.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So this is a merge result pipeline number 52. So it's been a little while since I did this, so I might not remember exactly, but you can type in Rails C to get into your Rails console.
Then you go make a cup of coffee.
And then yeah, exactly. Then you take your break.
It's like that cartoon, right? The code is compiling.
Yeah. Everyone's running out on their chairs. Yeah,
yeah, exactly that, but Rails console
Rails
is
console starting up. This is particularly
that our
bad.
integration tests are running.
Oh yeah, I've never run our integration tests locally, but I've heard it takes like 12 hours.
Sometimes our spec just fails, you know, when it fails in the pipeline, and you're like, great, maybe that was an accident, maybe it wasn't, but.
Yep. So I think what it is, I think it's CI/CD and pipeline. Maybe it's CI. Yeah, okay. CI pipeline is the class name, and then you can do find, and then I got that ID from the page here. Merge result 52. So that gives me the whole pipeline object there. So what I can do, let's just save this into a variable. I can just say p.succeed, and that method forces this to succeed. So I'll just refresh now to see it quickly. This should be green next time we refresh. So yep. So that's really nice rather than having to wait forever. And it's also really important because with merge trains, a lot of times you want multiples. You want to see like 5 merge requests on the merge train at once. And it's kind of hard to time that. Like if you, rather than trying to time it, you can basically just turn off all your runners and have everything be stuck in pending, and then just manually flip them to success when you need them to. So that's my development tip of the day.
Sounds like a good development tip. Yeah, I'm gonna get real good at console again. I've gotten good at making environments in the console and making releases.
Yeah. It's so much faster once you do it through the console for sure. That's all I have. Is there any other questions you had that I can answer? Otherwise, we can hang up.
Yeah, we can. I think we're all done. And 3 minutes to spare, so perfect.
Awesome. Great. Well, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any more specific questions you come up as you start diving into it. But yeah, best of luck.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Thanks for letting me tag along.
You bet. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.